Hello and welcome to episode 139 of Random Encounter, the RPG fan podcast. I'm your host, Robert Steinman, Pale Robbie on the boards. I don't really use the boards anymore, though, Derek. I think I've kind of joined you. And yeah.
Well, you don't even have a Twitter, but what we need to start doing is at least giving our Twitter handles at the beginning of the podcast.
That's Derek Heemsbergen, everybody.
Hey, everybody, I'm Derek Heemsbergen. Derek, Secret of Man, Heemsbergen.
Ooh.
Nice. Oh, Derek, I meant to ask you because I am watching it for the first time ever, and I am totally into it, and I need to ask your opinion. Who is the best drag queen on RuPaul's Drag Race this season? Go.
What, All Stars 3?
Yeah, who's the best?
Trixie Mattel.
Well, you are so wrong. You are so wrong. It is
Okay, just because I messed up.
Bendela's good.
Bendela's great. It's
Trixie's got the comedy.
Yeah,
I don't know. Trixie.
You messed up on the most recent episode.
Oh,
really
yeah.
bad.
The Snatch game was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, Trixie was awful. Also, I can't stand Trixie's makeup. I know. I'm sorry, but I hate it.
It's not for you, Rob.
I know. I'm sorry, but Ben de la Creme is so damn funny.
Ben de la Creme's super talented, yeah.
Yeah, I will. I'm like, Jackie, as soon as Ben de la Creme comes to Philadelphia, I'm going.
If I learned how to paint my eyes really ridiculous and overdraw my lips, I could look like Trixie Mattel because we have, like, the same head shape.
Okay, no, I could see that.
That's not really why I like her. I like what she's done outside of the show. Yeah, no, Ben's great too.
Yeah, Ben was phenomenal.
I like everybody this season, except I don't like Kennedy Davenport.
No, Kennedy's been okay, but like Chi-Chi, I'm glad Chi-Chi. Spoilers. I'm glad Chi-Chi's gone because just not funny
and be like, what?
Just not funny at all.
No, she messed up bad. She's a good girl.
Should we have a separate spoiler cast for this? Because I mean, our entire audience is just furious that you spoiled that.
Yeah. Shout outs to my friends over at Reading is Fundamental. It's a RuPaul's Drag Race podcast that records every week.
Oh my god, I want to be on that episode. Oh my god, I want to be on that. I'm like so fun. Deep in. I am like totally into it right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, who else do we have here on this podcast today?
I'm just now thinking about Trixie Mattel again. We have Mike. Dear God, can you play more Monster Hunter in a given week? Solosi?
Yep, that's me, Mike Rathalosi, and I just...
Oh, snap.
I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter the past couple weeks, and if you're wondering why I haven't been on very many Retro Encounter episodes in February, that's exactly why.
He's been shirking his duties to go out and hunt monsters and hunt wildlife.
You know, I wouldn't use the verb shirk, but you're basically right, so I'm not going to get too mad about it.
What's wrong with using the word shirk?
It's I don't know. It has a real negative connotation.
Oh, really?
I don't like that. I'm a little hurt.
Okay. I meant more skipping your duties.
Skipping's a fun verb. Okay. It's like jaunty.
It's like a snow day, but for monster hunting. You know?
Yeah. It's quite cold in DC.
Okay, so who else are we getting on here? We got Robert. I need something for Fenner. Oh, Robert, I'm a disappointment to you, Fenner.
What the?
No, I'm a disappointment to you because I did not get the chicken in Yakuza 0.
Oh, well, there's still time, I'm sure.
I need to stop playing Yakuza 0.
It's good to be back. I think I haven't been on Random in maybe a year. But you're all my Valentine.
Aw, Fenner.
Robert, rather.
Now I feel much better.
But yeah, I finished Yakuza 0, so I'm very happy that I finished that. It was amazing.
You've gone further than I. That's something that I've been meaning to go back to.
I went really deep into the real estate minigame, and I started doing a lot of the Hostess Club, and I neglected my wife, who is standing over me right now and giving me a look. Yeah, so I really got into it. I really enjoyed the end of that game, but man, some of those final bosses were bull. Like, wow, I'm glad nobody was around me when I was beating that. I just think that game...
that series.
Yeah, it's just suck down health potions until you beat the big bad, because they're just going to take out like half your health bar in one attack. It was a little bit of a bummer, but I'm still really excited for Yakuza 6, and I'm glad I finished it.
It's going to be good.
I just didn't get the chicken. So I'm sorry, everybody. Okay, we've delayed this long enough. It is time to talk about the Monster Hunter world. I think we all buy it? I think we all bought it. Yeah?
Yeah,
we all bought it.
Let me go check. Wait, no. Okay, I did buy it.
Okay.
I don't think Solosi's heard of this. It's kind of niche for him.
No. Yeah. Solosi's not a big fan of this and or Dragon Quest.
It's not
or
like
Super Sentai. Yeah.
It's not like literal tears came to my eyes when I watched the trailer at E3 or anything.
Oh, God. So
Steph was sitting next to me and she called me a little bitch and I agreed.
So, Solosi, I think Jesus, Solosi, I think you should probably start with the Monster Hunter World. So you had exposure to this series. You were
Yes.
super excited. We all saw it at E3 together. We had the great announcer who was like super crazy. What do you think of this? How's it come along?
Right. Well, to give you a shortened version of my Monster Hunter story, we even recorded a Monster Hunter podcast episode on Retro a couple weeks ago, so you can listen to that if you're interested, listeners. But I played a lot of Monster Hunter on the PSP, on the PSP Monster Hunter games that came out in North America. But then I fell off the wagon a little bit, and I didn't really play much after, say, 2011 or so. I tried some of the GBA the one of the 3DS and the first Wii one, and didn't really get grabbed by either of them. But I was really interested again seeing that first trailer for Monster Hunter World at E3, because it looked like it solved a lot of my technical issues with the series. And I tried one of the betas, and I just fell in love again. And I'm practically driving the like hype train for it now. I am so excited to play it. I've played it almost every day since it came out. My regular hunting partner that I used to play with on the PSP all the time he has about 150 hours into it now, which is more than me. And it's been really positively received. It's the best-selling game in the series already, I think, or on its way to being. It's the fastest selling Capcom game ever, which sounds insane.
That is nuts. Like that stat was insane. Like
our coworker Nick on the website gave it a 98, which is very high praise indeed.
Whew.
So I've been having a lot of fun with
that score from us. Digital Devil Saga 2, I think.
I think you're right, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if there's a good way to sort by review score. That might be coming in the future, but I don't know if we can do that now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anyway, so I have not beaten the game yet. I've put about 90 hours into it, and I am probably 4 or 5 quests away from completing it.
So this is my first Monster Hunter. I am a Monster Hunter virgin, and I picked it up kind of on a whim. I saw like all of the huge positivity over the game. It was kind of hard not to get swept up by it. So Jackie and I were out at Target. I picked it up. I think she actually liked the demo more than me, so I should probably get her turned onto it a little bit. Yes, Jackie, just rub it in a little bit more.
Jackie, you and I should hunt sometime. Just saying.
Right ahead. But I will say that I had a very a very weird 12, 15 hours with the game where I got really, really high on it very, very fast. Like 2 or 3 hours in, I found the longsword. I felt really good. I was having a lot of fun with it. I was going out.
Longsword's one of the 3 weapons I use the most.
Yeah, I was getting into it. I was developing combos. I felt comfortable. But then I kind of fell off of it very hard, and that to me isn't that it's a bad game. It's that I think that this is a very unique style game. There's really nothing else like it. It's very much dependent on multiplayer, on fighting monsters over and over again, harvesting their organs, which sounds really bad when you say it like that. That's what you do.
Dinner's ready.
It's like Repo, the genetic opera.
Oh my God, deep cut.
That's a deep cut, right, guys?
Yeah.
Kroger's in that movie.
What a reference.
I do what I can. So, but I think I kind of came to terms with the fact that the game's really not for me. I haven't had a chance to play multiplayer, and I could see that being very appealing, but I got a little bored fighting the same monsters over and over again. I got deeply frustrated with Baroth. I just did not enjoy that fight at all. I changed up my tactics. My bone sword kept clanging off of him, so I went for an iron. Yeah, well, I went for the iron sword, and that felt a lot better. Maybe if I play with the hammer, I'll get into it more. But I like mobility a lot.
In general, the bone versus iron tree for most of the slicing weapons, iron gets you a little more sharpness, and bone gets you a little more damage. General.
And I started to figure that out, and we're going to get to what this game tells you and what it doesn't tell you in a second. But I think I realized what this game was doing, and it sort of got put into I don't really think this is for me. But again, that doesn't mean the game is bad. I think that just means that it's not filling my cup with what I want to get out of a game. I do have a serious issue with the game's pacing because it is just monster battle after monster battle. But if you're playing a multiplayer focused game, that makes total sense. Like getting into the fight as quickly as possible, playing with your friends, doing quests over and over again, that makes total sense. But I've really turned into a pacing person when it comes to video games, and games that have bad pacing I tend not to finish. And so, a multiplayer online focused game like Monster Hunter World I think appeals to other gamers, but maybe not so much me. But it is very impressive of a title.
Right.
I don't know that it's an issue of pacing. Maybe we just have different ideas of what the word pacing refers to in the context of
Okay.
this game.
Okay.
But I mean, that's the game, though. The game is hunting the monsters. So, like, what do you want there to be in between hunting monsters?
Well, I think so. Some of the pacing things that I've seen are like the first time you fight a monster, correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like the first time you fight them, it is a much longer fight than when you hunt them afterwards.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
well,
just
you know
because
what
of
you're doing
your weapon
afterwards.
ability, right? And because you know the strategies to
But
take them down.
I
There's
also
also
feel
no
like
cutscenes. So.
But I also feel like there's also a damage thing going on. Like my first fight with Baroth was like almost 30 minutes, and then after that was like 16. And it was definitely I got better. Maybe I'm just being clouded by that, but like it felt like that first encounter was super, super long. And I get a little bored fighting the same thing over and over again for long periods of time. And it's cool that they develop new attacks and stuff. Baroth goes and rolls in the mud, or Kadachi like runs away into the woods to do his flying squirrel thing, which is really unique. But like, just kind of dodging the same attack over and over again. And then, I want to go harvest this monster again. So I'm going to start another investigation. Again, that's just me though. Like that started to bum me out a little bit. I'm sure if I fought like the same boss in Dark Souls 20 times in a row, I'd start going like, all right, I'm a little tired of this. And I said it before, I was kind of hoping that maybe there would be some smaller monsters to fight. I have a bitch of a time fighting smaller monsters in this game because the targeting is just not that great. Like when you're hitting something the size of a boat, it's a hell of a lot easier. But like one of the little like tiny Jagresses running around, like just targeting them is a pain. Like
Yeah, and if you're using the long sword or say the hammer that has a very vertical hit zone, then it's positioning and with no auto targeting makes it very difficult to get them normally, which is why for small monsters that aren't flying, like something that has more of a horizontal stroke, like the R2 combos in the longsword or like the circle combo in the switch axe, is way easier for getting small monsters. But I don't want to get too much into minutia. I think there's really 4 aspects to enjoying Monster Hunter. And it's mastering the weapons, mastering the monsters themselves, mastering your environment, and then the loop of getting better equipment by those first 3 masteries. And
I think that's all fair, yeah.
And if any of that seems boring or not fun, then you're going to have a harder and harder time enjoying it. But for me, I think that the weapons are cool, the monsters are cool, and the environments are cool. And getting more and more out of them, I've not gotten fatigued by it yet. And also there's the environments, man. There's only 5 major zones, and then a bunch of smaller things like the training area and the special arena and stuff. But those 5 zones are amazing. I love just exploring around them.
They're so dense.
Yeah, they're so dense and vertical. I get lost in the first one in the ancient forest a lot, just because the canopies have canopies, and going into your map, you have to like go to the different elevation layers to figure out what's going on. And even if you have your scout flies auto tracking a monster, they can get confused if they change elevation and distance at the same horizontal distance at the same time quickly. There's so much going on, but I mean, if you're getting frustrated by some of the basic bones of the game and you're not involved in the multiplayer and have someone guiding or explaining along, it can be really hard. But fortunately, when I first started playing Monster Hunter in like 2008-ish, I did have a more experienced friend who was explaining parts to me that weren't immediately explained and providing a regular multiplayer partner. And both of those helped a lot, because if you get trapped in a solo hole playing a Monster Hunter game, you will start to hate it quickly. That's why I stopped playing it, because I didn't have someone to play with and didn't like the part of the game I was in. So I just stopped playing Monster Hunter for 7 years.
Yeah,
But-
and that could definitely be a factor with me. And Solosi, you've been kind enough to say like let's do some hunts together. And I'm not completely out of the game yet. And Steven's yelling at me to also join him online. Like I'm gonna give it an online try because I think that's where the real magic of the game is.
Oh,
And I think
for sure.
I think I'm definitely missing that right now.
I'm
Absolutely.
in a similar rank to you. I'm happy to join you on some
Aw.
current hunts, Rob.
And that's definitely like I'm the weirdo that plays Diablo by myself. Like I'll play with other people, but I really enjoy playing those games solo. I'm just
Well,
who would have thought? I'm antisocial. I never would have expected that. But like I prefer playing games by myself, and I think Monster Hunter it really shines when you're playing multiplayer. And so I'm doing the game a disservice by playing it like that if it's bothering me.
It's
Rob-
I also
Sorry,
play
go
solo.
ahead, Mike.
Sorry, both Robs. I also play Diablo solo sometimes, but like if you like me playing Diablo solo is me doing like a solitary thing. It's almost relaxing. Like I'm just watching enemies explode and fall before me, and I can go through it at my own pace. Just like strutting around as my witch doctor while my pygmies take care of everything or something. But if I want to like complete an armor set or work or grind, then I'll just find a lobby and find a group of 2 or 3 people and just mow everything down for speed's sake. But Monster Hunter, I don't think hits either of those 2 spots. Like it's not really leisurely fighting these monsters because even a monster that I've fought 10 times can kill me in 3 or 4 hits if I have bad positioning or dodge poorly. So it's like I'm going in there very goal oriented, hunting the monsters I need for my next equipment or to clear a quest, and taking care of all of this. It's different than playing Diablo solo, and it's almost always better in multiplayer, especially if you're on chat in multiplayer, because it's basically the best kind of co-op boss fight that you can do.
Fenner,
Even though there's only about 30 monsters in the game total, and I haven't even fought all of them yet.
Now, Fenner, you wanted to jump in there a little bit a second ago?
Yeah, I was just going to say, have you? It sounds like you're somewhat keen on the genre, but not getting to grips with this game. Have you played any of like the more sort of narrative focused hunting games, like God Eater or Soul Sacrifice Delta?
I'm sorry, what game was that? What game? Was
There's the God Eater series.
Soul Sacrifice.
there it is.
Oh.
Sacrifice.
Oh, you guys were messing with me.
No. No.
Sounds like you're well acquainted with it.
So I haven't played. I played like the demo for Soul Sacrifice, and that didn't really do it for me. So I think it could be a genre thing. But like I can definitely see the appeal. I mean, like these monsters have so many different attacks, and it does feel really good when you dodge them and you get that good hit, or when you cut their tail off. Like that is like really damn satisfying, and I can see the appeal of that. The thing that I do want to be a little critical of on this game, because I think all that's like taste, like that's just like, okay, sports games aren't for this other person. Like that's all fine. The thing that I'm a little critical of this game, because I think it's both a huge plus and also a little bit of a minus, definitely more of a plus than a minus. The world is amazing, just like Solosi said, and seeing these monsters run around the environment is brilliant, and I love it when they fight each other, even when it dicks me over sometimes.
I stepped out of camp on a hunt I was doing about a week ago or so, and 3 monsters were already fighting in the open area right next to camp. It was insane.
Like that stuff is so damn cool. But when a monster kind of like sort of shimmies up a hill and they don't look real right in the environment and they kind of shift down, or like Baroth just completely, I'm just going to keep picking on Baroth because I hate him, but like he just plows through a piece of the environment and hits me, and he's like clipping through things. Like I get it. I get that, we only get better with video games by pushing technology, but there are parts where Monster Hunter World looks really rough, and that like you're not fighting them in environments that are specifically designed for them. You're not fighting them in the arenas from the original games, but those moments, and that's a good thing. Like that's awesome for the series, but there are just moments where I see some weird stuff and I start getting like really pissed at this game. Like, wow, I just took a hit and I thought I was pretty safe behind this wall. And then I teleported around it. And
I wish you had been around for the PSP. Well, of course you were around. I wish you had played some of the PSP Monster Hunter games so we could complain about hitboxes of specific monsters and their moves, like fans know what I'm talking about, like the Plesioth hip check or the Diablos thrust that seem to affect the entire room sometimes. Which just I would be behind the Plesioth and about to leave the room, and he would hip check somewhere over there, and it would hit the entire room. I don't. Still makes me mad thinking about it. But there is some technical issues and visual issues in this game, and also if the camera's not always your friend, the camera's way better than it used to be, but it's not perfect, and sometimes you can get hit by something off camera. And the semi-random nature of hunts, there will usually be at least 2 or 3 large monsters in any environment you're in, especially if you're not hunting an Elder Dragon, because later in the game when you're hunting Elder Dragons, they usually scare away every other monster in the location, including small ones, which makes it seem quite eerie, in fact. But I was like, oh, why aren't there even small monsters buzzing around? Oh man, there's a dragon with a lion face, but that's what I'm trying to kill now, and it's very frustrating. But
are you playing it right now?
No, not right now. Like earlier today.
Okay.
But that's the monster at the top of my quest list. It's called a Teostra, and it will blow its wings and make dust appear everywhere, then snap its fangs, and all the dust will explode.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's a delight. But anyway, yeah, there is still some technical issues that are noticeable. Even like when you're wearing armor with a cape, it'll still clip with the sword that's on your back, and the cape will billow, and it'll be on top of your sword and under your sword at the same time. It's like, that doesn't make sense. But
who cares? It's all right.
Well, the clipping,
it's still the best version of this.
Oh yeah,
this loop that I've ever tried, and I am not close to done with it yet.
And clipping on the characters doesn't bother me because that's not impacting the gameplay. But like when a monster kind of clips around a piece of the environment and their hitbox seems to extend about 15 feet in front of their face, and I get hit. I think thankfully I haven't run into anything in the game where anything's a one-shot kill. If it was a one-shot kill, controller through the TV, I am done.
My friend.
I am done with this goddamn game.
If you continue, you will see 1 or 2 one shots.
I'm sure they're there, but I actually think the game does a pretty good job of easing you into those hunts, without curb stomping you completely. Yeah. But
and then fighting, you find footprint, you find what resistances you can bring into the next go around.
But Kodachi, just there were a couple hits where I'm sitting there going he seemed to be homing in on my Palico, went through the Palico, and yet snapped his jaws shut 20 feet in front of me, and I still took damage. And I'm just okay, game,
It helps to take a sort of just a step-by-step approach a lot of the time. It's okay, I just died. What did I do wrong? What can I do to get better? Do I need new armor, a new weapon? Is there some item that'll help me? Because the first time I carded in the game, which is slang for dying 3 times in one hunt and basically losing the hunt, was pretty recently. It was earlier this week. I was fighting a solo Nergigante hunt for the first time, and I got him weak enough that he was limping and falling asleep in his lair. But every time I would wake him up, he would enrage and kill. And even when I had a 50% health boost from eating, he would deal more than 75% of my health with one dive attack. So one regular attack followed by the dive would kill me every time. And I did a triple card and lost. But anyway, I asked my friends, hey, is there something I can do about this guy? Is there a way around his dive? And they told me about an item called the Vitality Mantle that will allow me to eat one of those dives for free most of the time. And also advice about when he falls asleep, laying down bombs for a free 150 or 200 damage for when he wakes. And just even though I've been playing this game for years and I've put up 90 hours into this one, there were still steps I hadn't taken to improve my individual strategy for a new monster. And this game is always making you learn and research more. And these boss fights are so they're so, I don't want to say crafted because sometimes they do seem too random, but they're so intense and, in my opinion, interestingly designed that I'm still not sick of it. And shoot, they did something that I didn't notice this until I'd been playing the game for 50 hours or something. But the order of the monsters that they give you to fight usually give you good armor or a good weapon weakness for the next set of monsters. Like the last two monsters that you fight in I think 3-star are the Anjanath and the Tobi-Kadachi, which give you your first fire and lightning weapons. And then the three big monsters in the next zone are all weak against fire or lightning or both. And the final monster that you hunt in low rank before the big Zora Magdaros fight is weak against ice. And the final monster of the previous area, it gives you your first ice weapons. So it's like there's a logic to the like escalation of the monsters you fight and the quest design that is I didn't notice until I was already way too deep into it.
That's a good example of behind the curtain design, stuff that isn't immediately obvious at first glance, because I sure as hell didn't realize that. And now that you pointed it out, it's like, oh yeah, they did think about that, didn't they?
Yeah,
I'm really surprised because I'm surprised to hear Rob having so much trouble with it, and I think it's totally okay if the game isn't for you, and I'm not going to like begrudge you that in any way. It's just
I just suck at it, Derek.
I know, no, like I have never liked Monster Hunter up to this point, and I feel like this is the one that works.
Yeah, same here.
And I guess it just surprises me because it seems like this game has always been sort of in your wheelhouse more so than mine anyway, Rob. And then like I thought, if I was at a 1, then you would be at a 2 in terms of how much we like this. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of surprising to me. But I hear what you were saying about some of the animations.
I think the other thing is that, oh God, I promised myself I was going to avoid making this comparison, but
okay. To be fair, the first time I tried a Souls game, it reminded me of Monster Hunter.
Okay, so I don't think
same here. It's why I bounced off of Dark Souls when it was current. It took me until beating Bloodborne to get back into it.
I think that the environment of Monster Hunter World is definitely a step in the right direction to make me love this game, but like where I really love the Souls games is like they're always showing me something new. I'm always fighting a new enemy. I'm coming up on something that's like, oh God, I have no idea what this thing is. Oh God, it's going to kill me. And those encounters are usually very short. I think that the 15, 20-minute encounters in Monster Hunter, I just start getting restless. Like, okay, I've dodged this dude's attack like 30 times. I know what the hell I'm doing. And I complain the same way about overly long boss fights in the Souls games. Like, if a Souls boss goes more than 5 minutes, like, it just starts annoying me. Like, I've figured you out. I've seen everything you have. And admittedly, I think Monster Hunter monsters have way more moves and way more variety, so I can deal with that a little bit. But Derek, I think you're 100% right. I was expecting to kind of be drawn in a little bit more, but I think that this is so multiplayer focused, and I'm not doing the game a service by doing the multiplayer that it's hurting me. Like the Souls games are pretty much single player games with multiplayer sprinkled on top. I think Monster Hunter is a multiplayer game, and I should either, shit or get off the pot. I either need to start playing it like a multiplayer game or just decide that it's not for me. And maybe I come back after playing multiplayer with the guys and I go, holy crap, like this is amazing. And I want to do it every night. And Slowsy's like, for the love of God, Rob, calm down. But
I think you'll probably like it if you play it with like 3
I think
other
I will. I think I'm going to end up liking it more because there is something there. I am digging it. And the Palico is so cute. I made him look like my cat that I've had since grade school.
They made the Palicos cuter than ever and more useful than ever.
They are so cute.
They are really cute.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about the UI in the game and how it tells you some things and doesn't tell you others? And like, if I have to scream one more time at a Japanese developer for their map, like there are moments where the scout flies just don't work. Like I've like activated them and they don't chase after the monster, and then I go into the menu and I do it again and they chase after him. It's there's some weirdness going on there that's maybe I don't understand how all the systems are working, but it starts making you feel like something isn't working. Like
I gotta say, I mean, there's lots of obtuse things like sub Dark Souls obtuse of like hidden elements and what certain skills do,
yeah.
and there's a lot of things that it just does not explain.
Yeah, I didn't understand hidden element until someone told me, because I was like, oh yeah, I'm building this Diablo sword. I didn't know Diablo had ice element. And he goes, oh no, that's hidden element. That's they're telling you it has ice element, but it doesn't actually. I'm like, what do you mean?
What?
No, it does, but you have to you have to activate it through certain steps in combat.
Basically, if you look at the weapon tree and a weapon is shown to have a status effect or an elemental effect, but it's grayed out, then that means it does not have that effect, and it only activates if you equip a certain armor skill called free element.
Yeah. I had that explained to me this morning. It's crazy.
That happened to me a week or two, at least a week ago. I don't know exactly how long ago, but it was an unpleasant surprise.
Are these the remnants of old Monster Hunter design creeping in, and or are they intentionally left there so that people feel familiar, or are they just like bad decisions that they didn't write given the opportunity to?
I know it was in one of the Monster Hunter games I missed. They introduced it in one of the Wii or Wii U ones. I don't know exactly which, but it's not very well explained. I mean, because if you look at the weapon tree, it'll show, like on that Diablo sword I was looking at, it showed the ice elemental right there, but ice was grayed out instead of in white text, and that was the only difference. And it's not communicated really at all. And I guess if I had built that weapon and started attacking with it, I wouldn't have seen splashes of ice around because it wouldn't have been there. But there's a lot that is underexplained, and I'm not going to try and defend that at all. It's a problem sometimes. But they give you a lot of information, but it's not always enough information.
Yeah, underexplained is probably the right word to choose here too.
Yeah,
because it's like they're, the features are there, but they're just not super.
Oh yeah, but at the same time, I think that the game does do a good job of, like, those first couple monster fights are very doable to somebody who had never played these games before and was still getting used to basic mechanics and still putzing around with weapons that I was never going to use in the entire game. So, like, it is very accommodating to first time players, but I think the minutia is like it's like freaking Vagrant Story. Like holy crap, does this go deep? But I think that that's what keeps people so enthralled in these games, and that's great. Like it is there, and I haven't had to screw around with it too much. But if I really wanted to dig deep into this game, it's there for me to do it.
Yeah, there's surprising depth, and like I definitely haven't learned everything I possibly could around it, and sometimes it feels too much like a game of information, and you're not being given enough information. So I understand that criticism, and it's not much of a defense for me to say, oh well, it's fine for me because I've spent dozens of hours on my own time reading about it. That's not an endorsement. that just means I'm a crazy person. There's a lot going on here, and Rob, if you're willing to give it another chance, I will happily play multiplayer with you at any time convenient for both of us.
Just don't make fun.
Same here.
Just don't make fun of me, guys. Just don't.
Oh no!
I won't play with you because I'm a cold-hearted witch.
Wow, Jesus, man!
Just kidding.
And even if you're hunting something that I don't need, even if you're hunting something that I don't need the materials for anymore, it's like down the line I might need, I don't know, Toby Kadachi claws for some decoration or some potion that I wasn't anticipating. So
you're a hoarder. Got it.
Oh yeah,
you just got like a storage chest full of just squirrel neck pieces. And
I'm trying to get
talons.
I'm trying to get a Raytheon ruby for a weapon, and I have hunted so many Raytheon that I think I have 10 Raytheon plates, which are the second rarest material, and no rubies.
When I said you have a chest full of dinosaur talons, my boyfriend Jeremy came over into my line of sight and nodded furiously and pointed at himself.
Right? No, Jeremy gets it.
Yeah, Jeremy gets it.
What was that one fight like in the middle of the game when you first get to the middle of the game? In the game when you get to the desert area and like you accidentally run into a Rathalos, I thought I should fight it. So, like, I just dropped everything. I'm like, I'm going to kill that Rathalos. And I started fighting it for, like, 5 minutes, like, put some damage on it. And then it hit me.
What color was it?
White, I want to say. I put some damage on him, and then he hit me once and nearly killed me. And I was like, oh, I'm going to assume I'm not supposed to fight this right now. And I just scurried away, and it turned out I was right.
Where I am in the game, there's a monster that has an unfortunate tactic of always crashing your other hunts. And it flies high in the air like a Rathalos does, but has a bigger wingspan and drops explosive scales on it. So, on you. So, like, if you're fighting something and you hear the music change and a shadow appear over you, then you just get the worst feeling of dread. It's like, oh, run away! Explosive scales coming. I just had
a flashback to like the tank music from Left 4 Dead, like the dun dun dun. Like, oh god.
But yeah, like they like having the living ecology with like unrelated monsters crashing your other hunts is kind of awesome in a way to watch it happen, but also really frustrating when it gets in the way of your fun.
Yeah, and that can kind of create some of the jank, like when like two of them start going at it and like rolling around the environment, and you're not sure when to attack. I think the game is ambitious as all hell, though, so I'm willing to give it a pretty wide berth for how far this series has come. And when people are like, "Yeah, you used to just walk into like an arena and fight these monsters, and now they're like wandering around," and how cool that is, and that's something I don't appreciate as much as a longtime player, and I think it's important to point that out. It's cool.
Sure, yeah, it's cool. We've been talking a lot about it, but the verdict is it's cool.
It's cool.
It's
I made
great.
the mistake of also getting Bayonetta 2, so that's been taking up my time right
I
now.
just bought that a
surprised
few
you
hours
bought
ago.
Yeah.
I haven't fired it up yet, though.
What'd you say, Derek?
I just said I'm surprised you got it with Monster Hunter taking up
I'm
your
an
time.
idiot. I'm an idiot with disposable income, and that's not a good
Well,
combination.
Hold on to your wallet, folks, because I've just had come over the wire right now. Beep 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 beep.
Oh.
Peach Beach coming to Steam on March 7th.
Oh man, how many copies should we get?
Peach. No, I'm digging Bayonetta 2. It's just I really suck at that game, and I've got to get my timing down in it because it's all about the witch time.
I decided I had to play that game when I heard the Dancy Trancy remix of Moon River that's in it.
Oh yeah, that is really good.
The first game gives the same
Fly Me to
treatment
the
to Fly Me to the Moon.
Yeah, it's so good.
Very interesting choice of, like celestial body themed songs from decades and decades ago.
Just remember to get that bat time. Otherwise, you might get a little frustrated with it because the dodging is very, very finely tuned, and it gives you a little bit more invincibility. And I think that's kind of needed.
Okay, noted.
You need to get good, noob.
Yeah, I need to totally get good, but like sometimes that game, like it is a platinum game, and sometimes
It's
their
a tough
camera.
one.
Well, sometimes their cameras take just a holiday in like another country, like Metal Gear Rising, and I'm just like, wow.
Like a
okay.
Roman holiday?
Yes,
It's a different
sure.
Audrey Hepburn movie, but whatever. I'll take
All
it.
those platinum games do have the same feel, but it's weird how like different they all are. They have that floaty feel, like Nier feels like Bayonetta, but like Bayonetta has so many more moves, like and so many different combos. And then you have something like Metal Gear Rising, which is based around that cut mechanic. Like Platinum's weird. They're so weird of a I love them sometimes and hate them other times.
Mm.
I'm mad at myself for not finishing Nier. I'm sorry, Derek.
It's okay. I forgive you.
I'm sorry. I listened to all the stories, spoilers, and I think that game does some really cool things. I just, it is what it is. Maybe we'll do that spoiler encounter at
I
some.
still think you're a wonderful person, and I'm proud to call you my friend.
Aw, you're just happy I'm not going to E3. You're like, oh, thank God, I get a break
Oh,
from this.
phew,
asshole
yeah,
for
I get to rest.
I know.
But now who am I going to snuggle with?
I know. Well, you got Solosi.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yes.
I love you guys.
There it is. All right, Derek. You were. I think that you weren't sharpening your knives about Secret of Mana. You were actually like coming to the game's defense a little.
Well, okay, all right. So not entirely. So Secret of Mana, we're going to talk about a couple of things today, a couple of remakes, and I know that we don't cover Shadow of the Colossus on RPG Fan, but I know Rob wanted to bring it up, just in terms of like some stuff that's happening with two remakes that released in a very short window.
Yeah.
That, one is very faithful, and one has a little bit of. Well, I guess Shadow of the Colossus is still very faithful, but
I'd say they're both pretty. I mean, I haven't played Secret of Mana, but speaking to Shadow of the Colossus, very faithful. Very faithful.
So, all right. So, Secret of Mana, I'm reviewing it for my other outlet, and I am really surprised because I haven't read any reviews like full text. I've seen a couple of snippets here and there because I don't like to write. Excuse me. I don't like to read reviews of anything that I'm reviewing because I don't want it to influence my opinion. So I always wait until I'm done playing and writing mine until I read somebody else's take. But I can't help but see incidental stuff on Twitter, etc. And I've seen a lot of hate for the Secret of Mana remake. Now, I don't think that it is better than the original. So Secret of Mana, the original, is one of my most beloved games of all time. And the thing about this
remake, very tasteful and beautiful tattoo of it, in fact.
Yeah, that is an amazing tattoo. If I was going to do one, it would be that, but then you'd get mad at me for stealing your idea.
No, it's okay. We'd just be blood brothers at that point. Because we actually bled in the same way. Anyway, so Secret of Mana, it's actually almost astonishing how authentically it recreates the feel of the original Secret of Mana. It's like 1-to-1 in terms of the way characters move, the way weapon attacks hit enemies, how there's like that weird little invulnerability delay when enemies are on the ground and they like can't get hit again. And they increase the window so that you can land more hits while they're on the ground. This is all very technical, but what surprises me about Secret of Mana Remake is it's like so incredibly faithful in terms of the feel. Just crapping on it because they're like, I guess people wanted it to be more modernized. And I see that. And I actually agree. I think it should have been more modernized. But if the two options were like stick closely to the mold of the original Secret of Mana or do something completely different, I'm surprised that so many people are railing against the developers for sticking so closely to the original mold. Mm-hmm. Now, what I think is like obvious right off the bat is that visually it's a downgrade because even though they rendered everything in 3D, the 3D has kind of a budget cheap feel to it. And there are little elements here and there like character mouths don't animate in cutscenes, even though they're speaking with voice acting. And there are animations like when you go to whip yourself across a chasm, it still does actually sort of the same animation as in the original, where you have a weird, awkward whip animation. Your character tugs on it, and then everybody just kind of flies over. Same with in the beginning of the game when you're getting bullied by the kid Elliot, and he's pushing you. You do sort of like the awkward jumping backwards animation instead of them rendering the character pushing Randy or whatever. It seems weird to me that they would stick so closely to the original in terms of the animations that they use, because those animations were a result of them having limited resources to depict all of these various scenes. So
cutting down from the original, like the SNES CD PlayStation. Huh.
Yeah, so it seems to me that would be something that they should have updated. They should have put more care into a lot of these animations to make the game feel a little bit more lively and a little bit more modern while still retaining the feel of the gameplay, but they didn't. So if you play the original Secret of Mana and then you play the remake, you'll find that they feel pretty much the same. Now, whether that's a good or a bad thing is up to you. I think that it's perfectly serviceable, but not better. And I'm just surprised to see so much vitriol. Like I've heard people saying like, oh, this is an abomination. My childhood's ruined.
Yeah, and so
anybody who says that, though.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, let's settle down a little bit. I think that what's interesting here is that I'm playing the Shadow of the Colossus remake, and we've seen mostly glowing reviews from that. The game's actually reviewing better than when it came out in 2005, and I think that's a whole other article to talk about. And I adore Shadow of the Colossus. It's one of my favorite games. But I will say that it's such a faithful remake that at the same time introduces a little bit more jank. At least, Shadow of the Colossus is a weird game in that it's kind of, your mileage may vary. Like sometimes we've seen some weird videos of that game, and I've rarely run into those problems when I played it on PS2, when I played it on PS3, but they pretty much just did a straight remake on the PlayStation 4. It looks absolutely gorgeous. But I'm also kind of sitting there saying it's the same damn game, and people are totally okay with that and loving on it. And I'm like, I said it at E3, I hope that they modernize this more or add some new stuff. They did add a photo mode, which is gorgeous. I mean, I'm gonna make a new set of desktop wallpapers from that because they are just amazing to look at. But like,
I never knew I would like photo mode this much in various games. But I use it so much when I was playing Uncharted 4 last year. But it's so nice having so many games giving you this way to capture their own beauty. It's awesome.
Yeah, but like Shadow of the Colossus on PS4 is roughly the same game with a new coat of paint, a very, very beautiful coat of paint, but I've run into more problems than any of my other journeys through this game, and maybe I'm just unlucky. I am the glitch lich after all, but like I'm seeing these glowing reviews for the game, and I'm like, guys, it's the same game from 2005. So to watch, as Derek was pointing out, people just absolutely going after Secret of Mana, holding up Shadow of the Colossus to be like amazing. Like, look, the problem that people had with The Last Guardian, the fact that the camera was pretty bad, guess what? The camera's pretty bad in Shadow of the Colossus too.
No, like, it's bad in that too, I agree.
Yeah, the camera's always been your opponent in that game part of the
like, and shooting arrows is a pain in the ass. Like, the dead zone on the arrows is terrible, just like it was in the original game. And maybe you don't put a score on a remake like this. I don't know, but it's been very weird watching people lose their minds over this game. And I'm like, y'all do remember when this game came out in 2005? You guys gave it 7s and 8s, and it's an amazing game and one of the best games I've ever played, one of the most memorable games I've ever played. But I think the nostalgia goggles are a little bit on this one, where I'm like, no, the game still kind of has major control issues. It does.
Yeah, I wonder if this is an instance of feelings on the original just being projected onto it, because I'm also very fond of Shadow of the Colossus, and I know that my feelings on it have only intensified over time.
Sure.
And it was interesting to revisit it after all this time, because I love the remake, and I was fortunate I didn't have any game breaking like glitches or bugs or anything weird. I kind of blazed through it. I was almost sad because I remember
it's really short,
pretty much everything. Yeah, and I must have beaten it. It must have taken like 5 hours tops.
Yeah,
through all of it. So
it's basically just 16 boss fights, and each one can take you like under 20 minutes, right?
Oh God, you can beat them in like
probably way faster.
The longest fight in the game, I think, is the 14th Colossus, which that's the one where you have to jump on all the pillars and he knocks everything over. Funny story, that's the longest Colossus fight in the game, and the game hard locked on me on that after I had. Yeah, that left a giant bad taste in my mouth, and I had to do it all over again. But most of the Colossi, especially when you're doing time attack, you can beat them in under 5 minutes. They're designed to be that way. But and yeah, the hard lock was another one of those. Yeah, my PS2 version of this didn't hard lock. God damn it! But like it is a game that is it's very quick. It's over very fast, but it makes a strong impression. And Derek, you're right. This game stands out in my memory above almost every gaming experience in my life. But I still look at it and go, yeah, there's still some issues with it. And they added a sword. They added the gold coins that you could find, and that was really cool because it was based off of a blog that somebody had been doing for years of all the really cool spots in the game. Like, all that's awesome. But I'm also like, man, you couldn't have included any of those like Colossus designs that were in the art book. Like, you couldn't have included the giant spider. Like, and then I go back to the ultimate remake of all time for me, which is the Resident Evil remake, which is a completely redone video game. And yeah, they decided not to do that with Secret of Mana and Shadow of the Colossus. That's fine. But that's why the Resident Evil remake is one of my favorite games ever, because it took an original game and made it absolutely amazing. And I just wonder if maybe a little bit, maybe Shadow of the Colossus 2 was asking too much, and maybe that's a game that should never have a sequel, but like maybe one new Colossus. Like, just
I was kind of hoping for that too, but then I also worry that if it was anything less than completely overwhelmingly amazing, then it would have left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. They would have been like, why did you add to a game that was already perfect?
You're also getting into some tricky territory if you're adding stuff without Ueda's involvement,
right? And Ueda, they were kind of cagey about that. Like, Ueda was involved, but kind of sort of not.
He left partway through Last Guardian,
and he worked as a contractor.
So.
But at the announcement of the Shadow of the Colossus PS4 version, they did say that he was working with the team a little bit. But that could have been that could have also been marketing speech. Like, you don't know. Like that. That's
still like restoring like early stage cut content without him being fully on board helming it. I can imagine they would be hesitant to do so. I mean, that's why, for example, the folks at Square Enix have said that they haven't done a remake of Final Fantasy 5 or 6 in the style of the DS4 remake, because the directors just aren't on board with that project. They don't want to do it without them. So,
and that's fine. That's fine.
And I think it's also why Capcom just keeps remaking Okami instead of doing an Okami 2, because
that game's already 3 times longer than
Okami 2.
So.
Thank you, Derek.
Okami 10 is not the Okami 2 people want.
No, Okami 2 is in Okami. It's called the second arc of Okami.
Oh. Yeah. I guess there's also an Okami 3 then.
This also gives us an opportunity to talk about the internet rage that was directed at Square Enix over what was it? They announced that they were changing the design of Final Fantasy VII, and the internet ripped in half.
What does that even like?
I don't know what that means. I don't care.
This one's completely passed me by. Fill me in, folks.
Somebody was saying that they were redesigning some of the characters in the Final Fantasy VII remake, like you would probably do when going from a game where they're made out of like
cones and triangles,
like where he's got his Popeye arms, which I love. But like, people started losing their minds, and I'm like, okay, first off, we've barely seen this game even running, so everybody shut up. Second off, do you remember what the internet said when they said, oh, we're going to make this episodic? So they're still deciding what they want to do. And more importantly, while you're all bitching and moaning about maybe Cloud's hair design changing, Riku is over here with a Honda Civic Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts 3. That's way more important to talk about right now.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Is that for real?
Yeah.
They tie in with Honda?
No, I don't think it's a tie-in with Honda, but it looks like a car key, man. It looks like the car keys on my side table right over there.
I mean, it's with
cord.
Mario Kart having a tie-in with Mercedes, I thought, hey, maybe we will put in like a Honda key.
With that kind of context, maybe Rob wasn't joking. I understand.
I just think that like the Final Fantasy VII remake is so out there right now. Like it's like it's not even on the horizon of my thought process right now.
Yeah. How long away do you guys think this one is?
I'd say late 2019 at the earliest.
Oh, no way.
Like you think I'm
it's
wrong?
farther?
Oh yeah, for real.
I think 2020 holiday season is my guess.
It really depends
like
on
Christmas 2020.
I think it depends on if they do the episodic or if they make a full game. If they go episodic, I could see us getting something in 2019. If they say, "Oh no, screw it, the fans want a full game," yeah, then it's like 2020 PlayStation 5 territory. Like I know we've disagreed on this podcast before, but like I expect we see whatever the PlayStation 4.5, PlayStation 5, whatever the hell you want to call it. I think that's a 2020 thing. I absolutely think that's going to be 2020. So and they've said now that Kingdom Hearts 3 is 2018, but I'll believe it when I see it. Maybe
the trailer and the assets they released last week really lit the internet fandom on fire. There was so much enthusiasm for it.
It looks good, and it definitely looks further along than I would have given it credit. But I just think that, like, first off, it's going to be a goddamn miracle if this Final Fantasy VII remake even comes out. And also, what they've shown of it and how it looks like Final Fantasy 15, I think this might be another case of I don't know if this is for me. Like, look, I'm one of those weird people that loves Final Fantasy 7 warts and all. Like, that game is batshit bonkers. We've talked about it up and down, but that is still a very playable game that you can play on your PC, on your PlayStation 4, on your Vita.
Yeah.
You can play it everywhere, and it's still very playable.
The thing about Final Fantasy VII in particular is that, that game's development is so based in the 90s, and especially the late 90s. It's Evangelion, it's 90s anxieties, it's 20 years ago. It's a completely different time and place. So when you're remaking it, I mean, if you're going to be slavish to it, what's the point? It's not going to feel right. And if you're making it something else, again, what's the point? What is that game?
Yeah, I mean, I want is it too much to ask for a turn-based Final Fantasy game? Like, Final Fantasy 15 didn't do it for me. I'm super excited for Dragon Quest 11 because I know what that's going to be. We're not going to get a turn-based Final Fantasy 7 game. That's totally fine, but then at that point, I don't know if I really want to play it.
Rob, let me introduce you to my old friend, the Octopath Traveler demo.
I was going to mention that, actually.
I think that battle system showed a lot of promise. I'm a little nervous. We talked about that
Saga, though.
Yeah, and I'm a little nervous about that game because I felt like the battle system could fall into the Radiant Historia trap of like these battles take too long. But I definitely like what they're going for. Like, and I'm glad that they're tuning it and they've listened to fan feedback on that. That could be something really special. But like those battles could get a little long in the tooth. So it's also on the Switch.
Speaking of Radiant Historia,
party. Well, yeah, I just wanted to wrap up thoughts about Secret of Mana really quick and say that. I feel like this remake does not capture the essence of Secret of Mana, and I think it does lose something in the transition to 3D. However, I do not feel like it is, an absolute blasphemous creation that should be slung into the pits of hell. I just don't really understand like the super, super vocal outrage about it. And I had another point that I kind of lost, so maybe it'll come to me when we talk about something else. But it's okay, and I don't want to be an apologist for it either, because I'm not trying to say like, oh, just because it's a remake of a game I love, because that could go either way. That could go the whole like, I love this game so much and I hate to see what they did to it, or it could be, I love this game so much and I'm willing to accept any recreation of it, no matter how bad. So
yeah. And I think it's also important for me to say that, like, with the Shadow of the Colossus remake, I'm not running around screaming from the rooftops, this game's a travesty, it's a 3 out of 10. Like, no, I'm saying that it's still the 8 that I played. Oh God, this is gonna hurt. This is the 8 that I played almost 13 years ago, but it's still one of the best games I've ever played in my life. Like, I still adore it, but it's still an 8. Like,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, and but remakes are really hard. Remakes are really hard, and it's also it's a weird industry where I think with video games we are much more accepting of remakes versus like Hollywood, which keeps cramming remakes down our throat, and people get very upset about them.
I think nostalgia is more powerful with games than with other media because because of the interactivity, like going through the motions of playing it again, and it just I think you get more attached to game nostalgia than film nostalgia, just in general.
There could be something to that, but like as Jackie's yelling at me right now that they're thinking about doing a Clue remake.
Okay, now, all right, we're gonna need a totally separate podcast, or we're gonna need to change the subject, man, because I have flames
on
the side of my face.
Communism, Solosi, was just a red herring.
1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1, or 1 plus 1 plus 2.
I'm so proud of my students that every year I have a class that decides to watch that at the end of the year, and that makes me so happy. They're like, this looks really good, or some kids know about it, and it just makes me really happy.
Rest in peace, Madeline Kahn and Eileen Brennan.
Yeah. But why would anybody want a Final Fantasy VII remake when you can just watch Advent Children?
Oh, dude.
Okay, please. Why would you even say that?
That movie's
You say that, and we decided. I watched all 3 Final Fantasy movies last year for a podcast, and we decided that Advent Children was probably the best one.
Well, which one?
What?
We got Spirits Within, Kingsglaive, and
Advent Children.
Advent Children.
Those are
I
the
haven't
3.
seen the others. I've only seen Advent Children, but oh my god.
What about the Final Fantasy V anime?
Oh god!
Your crystal
Get outta
goes into
here.
her chest and she glows out her butt.
And that dude gets in his underwear and he gets tickled.
Yes, he does.
Wait a minute.
You haven't watched this, Derek?
No, yeah, I saw it when I was a kid.
I haven't
You gotta watch it again.
Hollywood video, yeah.
Oh my god! I remember
What?
I was at a freaking GameStop, and it was right after Final Fantasy VII came out, so they like fast tracked the OAV, and like it comes out, and I watch it, and I'm like, "What in the actual hell is this?" Jackie just tried to impale me with a pencil. Okay, moving on from Secret of Mana and Pretz and his girlfriend.
Oh, Pretz. And
What?
like the awful, nasty chocobo that looked like the
A plucked
boneless
chicken?
meal at KFC. Yeah.
Oh god!
Sorry, the grilled chicken, not the boneless.
Oh god. Okay. Solosi, talk to me about the Batmans.
Oh,
Talk
sure,
To,
the Batmans.
talk to me about Fred Batmans.
I don't know how much it comes up on Random Encounter, but Telltale's in the middle of a brand new Batmans series, a set of adventure games. They did a first season of it in 2016, and there are 4 episodes into a 5-episode second bit now. I think the last episode is supposed to come out in March, April-ish, but episode 4 came out in the end of January. So I played the 2016 season a couple months ago at the end of 2017 and loved it because I'm a Batman fan and I haven't played enough Telltale games to be sick of them. And I started this new one because I got more interested in it when I realized that 4 of them had come out and it would be ready to play in completion soon. So because I don't like waiting 2 months for a 2-hour part of a game.
Yeah,
But-
that's rough. I agree.
But now that it's 4 out of 5 in, I think it's an okay time to start. And then by the time I finish these 4, the 5th one will be right there. So that's I thought that was acceptable. So I really like these because they have some interesting interpretations and twists on the Batman mythos, and I think that some of the choices you make meaningfully, even if they don't meaningfully have a big story impact, they do affect the moment to moment what you're doing in the game way more than other Telltale games do. Like choosing to confront Two-Face versus Penguin in the first season of it, basically if choosing one over the other either meant you had to do the next one without Batman technology, or Alfred had a gun to his head in the next one. Like that kind of level of choice. Like not meaningful for the like at a macro level, but at a moment to moment level changes the story and game a lot. And I'm having a lot of fun with it, especially because the big arc of the second season is a Joker story, which is maybe the most tired thing in Batman, but this is interesting enough that I'm not offended or hateful of it yet. And like weirdly, I haven't heard of the actor that they have voicing the Joker. It's some Canadian improv comedian who, like, Telltale found him because he had a YouTube video where he did some fake Joker monologues, switching between the Nicholson, Ledger, Hamill, and Cesar Jokers, and like they liked it so much that they picked him up and had him do an interpretation that's not quite any of those four, which I think is super interesting. But it's a very Joker centric season right now. But I think it's a good Batman story, and by far my favorite Telltale game.
I was just going to say, on the topic of being discovered like that, maybe you'll be discovered, Solo C, for the role of Dr. Claw in the upcoming Inspector Gadget reboot. That's definitely not happening for your Soul Sacrifice voice.
I'll get you, Inspector Gadget.
Oh my God, it's like he's in the room with me.
No, I think it's been easy to get a little cynical about the Telltale releases, but I think those games have all come out and people have been very happy with them.
The one I've heard the most as being the best one is the Tales from the Borderlands game, which I have not played, but
free on PSN a little while ago. I've got it, but I haven't cracked it open yet.
Maybe this is a silly thing to say, but I resisted getting PS Plus for years, but I finally got it to play Monster Hunter World with friends.
This is my shocked face. I don't know. It was hard for me to keep up with all the Telltale games. I did like Walking Dead Season 1, Season 2. That kind of had diminishing returns a little bit, but I think that's also the nature of Walking Dead, as the rest of the world has figured out that show is not very good. Sorry, that was catty of me, and I shouldn't have done that, but that's just how I feel.
I don't think anybody likes recent seasons of it. That's not an uncommon opinion.
It's based on the comic.
But like, I've been out of Walking Dead since like season 2. Like, when I realized, we're just going to keep going from bad scenario to bad scenario with not a whole lot going on. Like, I don't understand. Yeah, I don't see the appeal of that.
I thought that first Telltale series was great.
Yeah, I was really into it. I think that the daddening of video games, as we keep, between that, Last of Us, the new God of War, like, it's always been, just dads in video games. Who would have thought, as these developers get older and they start having families, we might see that reflected in the video games.
I wonder if BioShock was one of the tipping points for that daddening.
Probably, because Ken Levine
Infinite.
No, just the original.
No, just
okay,
Saving the girls. Yeah.
Probably because Ken Levine was a little bit of an older developer in that respect, still making games. Like, he wasn't like, the guys who, made games in the 80s that got out of it. Like, that was probably a little bit of the daddening of games a little bit. And I think the daddening of games is cool, honestly. Like, I think that's a unique perspective. Like, it's different, and that's cool. Now we can maybe do the mothering of video games. Like, that would be awesome too.
I guess Yakuza might have been one of the earliest.
Yeah, he definitely adopts some shit.
Wasn't that first one like 03 or 04?
05.
Yeah, okay, so it's been around. It's been around a while, and I mean, I would call the Yakuza main character a very dad.
I will.
Dad. Oh, he's daddy, all right. Yeah,
there's more than one kind of daddy.
I was telling Solosi a couple of days ago that he should get into the Yakuza series, because I know this might seem weird, like, go with me on it, but the Yakuza series to me has a little bit in common with Dragon Quest, in that those original games are kind of hard. No, those original games are kind of hard to go back to, but they've redone almost every one now, and they're all extremely playable and extremely fun.
They're very iterative. I don't think you need to play all of them, but thankfully, like, every new game includes like summaries and cutscenes of the previous game. But it's very like kind of minimal differences between each sequel.
And they're big games. Like, I really thought that Yakuza 0 was going to be small, and then I ended up putting like 60-70 hours into it.
Yeah, no way, they're huge.
Yeah, it was really, really big. I've said before, I'm excited for 6. I'm really excited for Fist of the North Star, and we need to get that in America.
I hope we get it. Yeah,
I really want to get that game, but like,
I want to take those cocktails really fast.
Yes,
the way that I haven't played any Yakuza game, but I've been pretty impressed with what I've seen of Zero and Kiwami and 6. But I think that those Yakuza writers definitely like them some Fist of the North Star and City Hunter, because that very dramatic sort of like semi-urban stuff, like it makes sense that those writers would be big fans of those stories, and I think that
Mhm.
a lot of them are probably pretty jazzed to be working on a Fist of the North Star game.
Oh yeah, and the iterative nature that Fenner was pointing out a second ago, that's where I think it really lines up with Dragon Quest. Like the Dragon Quest games have been fairly iterative, but they've gone back and remade all of them. And those DS games are absolutely phenomenal, and everybody should play them. There's Dragon Quest VIII, which was the best remake of last year. I'm sorry,
It was good. Yeah.
I definitely got catty about that when we were doing our Game of the Year discussions. I was like, this game is amazing, and I hate everybody who didn't love it.
Thought it was good.
Yes.
Did you watch the new ending, Rob?
No, I have not.
Come on,
Dude. How many Dragon Quest games did I do in like a year and a half period?
Obviously one fewer than you should have because you didn't see the new ending.
Oh, you bastard! I played me some Dragon Quest.
You did, and I'm proud of you.
I've decided to not play Yakuza Kiwami until after 6. I need a little bit of a break.
That might be rough.
No, I need a little bit of a break right now because like that game, to beat Yakuza 0, I played it nonstop for like 2 weeks. Like I totally neglected Jackie. This is why she bought a puppy. I was neglecting the crap out of her. She was getting so mad at me, but I was like, babe, I have got to get this real estate so I can get better moves. Okay, this is important. She's like, you keep beating up the same 5 guys over and over again. Like, what did they do to you? I actually really got into that game's combat system after a while. It is not button mashy at all. And if you play it like that, it really doesn't feel good. And I had to get used to that.
It's pretty. That's the word I'm looking for. You have to have intent with everything you do.
Yeah, and it is about like you need to knock people down. So you're actually I really like that about the game, in that you want to use all your combos, because like even just a square triangle combo gives you space. And that lets you open up the longer combos. But I said this before on the last podcast. It is so much more fun to play Kiryu over Majima. Kiryu's moves are just no. Kiryu's base style is perfect. Like there's so many moves. There's so much variety. Agoro just doesn't hit hard enough. Majima just doesn't. He does have the eye patch. I will agree with you on that. But he just doesn't hit hard enough. And Kiryu hits like a goddamn dump truck. Like he just knocks people around. It's so good. Okay, I managed to get the conversation back to Yakuza. That's a point for me. Solosi, you like the Batmans?
Yes, I like the Batmans, and it's a non-cringy version of Joker and Harley, which is surprising.
Ooh, wow, that is...
In this one, Joker has a one-sided crush on Harley and not the other way around, which is
okay.
Which gives them,
that's an interesting reversal.
Gives you an idea of how much they're allowed to twist things around. But yeah, these are like good interpretations of a lot of Batman characters. A lot of them are being recontextualized in both the 2016 one and the current one. And as a longtime Batman fan, I like this Telltale thing a lot. That's all.
Cool. The last thing is Fenner needs to unload on Tokyo Xanadu, apparently.
I think Derek and I can provide the assist on this one as well.
Okay, I can back up and just watch the fireworks, is what you're saying?
Move over Persona 5. There's a new king in town.
God damn.
I'm twitching visibly now, which is not great for an audio meeting.
There's so much shade, it's a goddamn eclipse. Like, holy crap.
Funnily enough, that's what the dungeons in this game are called.
Yep.
That's right.
Well done, Rob.
I hate myself right now. Okay.
Tokyo Xanadu. I'm playing this for a review. I'm very, very behind.
I gotta stop. You cut out for a second, and I thought you said "F you, Xanadu." Like, you came in so fast.
Still appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't know. Insert joke about SoundCloud rapper Lil Xan here. This is a real mess of a game. And like, not in that it's terribly offensive or broken. It's like spoilers for my upcoming review. It's remarkable just how unremarkable it is.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Which is a real shame, because Solosi bought me Xanadu Next, and I haven't been playing it enough, but I really
Xanadu
like
Next is amazing.
It's proto Dark Souls. I love it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really Vagrant Story-esque and feels really forward thinking for 2005.
Mhm.
And Tokyo Xanadu is like the opposite. It's like, hey, let's try and wring all of the potential we possibly can out of the Trails of Cold Steel engine, which, let me remind you, is an engine made for a turn-based game and not an action RPG. So
Yep.
it doesn't feel good, and like it just feels super cheap and unsatisfying. And I have to wonder why the Xanadu name is tacked onto it. I mean, it's actually got a lot more in common with Zwei. The dungeons are very similar. The main character has the same weapon as the protagonist of Zwei. And, there's slot machines at the end. There's a similar combo mechanic. But I guess, like, you can't call it Tokyo Zwei, especially when you've got 7 playable characters. But, I mean, my main beef with this game is that Falcom seemed to think, and I know, Derek, that you had a similar issue with Ys 8 last year, and the same issue that I had, that the impression that I'm getting at the moment is Falcom seemed to think that, like, every new game that they make has to be a variation of Trails of Cold Steel. And it really, really doesn't. If you're not doing this devotion to, like, a sense of place for a fictional country, I mean, don't and then make a 50-hour text-heavy adventure where nobody is really saying anything of value.
They really want you to go and speak to every one of your classmates between every mission, and none of them have anything to say, and it's it's such subpar character work for a Falcom game.
Mm-hmm. The cast is a series of cardboard cutout like cliches, and it's funny because
there's not Chie and not Yosuke and not Shinji.
Not Kanji. There's not Mitsuru 1 and not Mitsuru 2.
Yeah,
there's 2 class presidents in your party. What the hell?
Because Falcom is used to doing these games with characters who may on the surface appear to be people you've seen before in other games, and then their layers are revealed eventually and gradually, and everybody tends to have so much nuance, and they're so well written. And this is an example of, like, why good localization makes such a big difference, and why you can't just rip character ideas, because it's like the guys are saying, it's not just that they set this in a high school and that there are Persona-esque elements, it's that there are, like, copies of the characters from Persona, except maybe they have a different hair color and a way less memorable sort of personality. Like, it's crazy how much they're facsimiles of characters that we all know and love from other games.
Well, and the Yosuke analog looks exactly like him and has the same color palette. It's just the only difference is he's not in your party.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Your dweeby friend. He reminds me a little bit more of I think his name is Kenji from Persona 3, but that's not flattering at all. Like, but you really can make a Persona or Trails of Cold Steel facsimile for all of the major characters in this game. But you're absolutely right.
There's a Trails of Cold Steel character in it for no reason.
That's true.
Well, and this is I want to hit on what Derek was just saying a minute ago, and bring up the fact that when I started Cold Steel, and I didn't stick with it, but I remember Derek telling me, like, yes, the characters seem like they're pretty boring and pretty stereotypical, but much like Danganronpa, they start to open up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Now, Derek, you said a second ago that was because of localization. Do you think that a better localization job could have made these characters better, or do you?
No, I mean, I think it could have
polished a turd.
Yeah, I mean, they would have had to do some pretty substantial rewriting, I think.
Okay.
But this is the difference between, like, if you look at the Ys 8 game, script pre-patch and then post-localization patch, like, that script is still not the strongest in Falcom's history, but it's made a lot better by a competent localization that pays attention to tone and voice direction and each character's individual nuances and quirks. So yeah, but I think Tokyo Xanadu scripts just, like, isn't great, because no matter how good the script is, it can't save it from being this incredibly, like, rote and repetitive mundane story where it pretends to end 3 times and nothing ever happens. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to steal Rob's thunder here, or Robert's.
That's the biggest problem. I'm basically this game is ended. It's still going on. despite having an ending. But the thing is, like, I've put 50 hours in, and I'm at the what I believe to be the final dungeon, but nothing has happened up to this point. Like, there's been no central villain. There's just been like, go in and beat some monsters. At one point, like, they really went into the Persona 4 thing. At one point, the entire town gets covered in fog and people start like disappearing. But nothing really happened. Nobody was behind it. It's just like trolls and ogres and slime monsters.
Yeah.
Many of which were the enemy models are just lifted from Cold Steel. And now, like, just at this final chapter. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, I'm sorry. It's just like, but you're right. There isn't really a central villain or anything with personality. It's just a vague darkness that is creating isolated incidents. And the thing that I had an issue with, and we won't go into specifics, of course, but in the last, say, 5 hours of the game, there are three or four wild twists in a row that don't make any sense and are barely foreshadowed and feel 0% earned. And they mostly made me more angry than interested.
I like how like a particular character's secret identity has the same name as his real name.
Yeah.
So, like, not doing a good job there.
Yeah.
But
oh man.
Just nothing happens, and it's. I think I had something else I wanted to say, but yeah, nothing happens, and it's just so tiresome. And it's like, I really feel like my time is being wasted here, and it's exhausting on many levels, and like, I don't think there's a lot that you can do. It's badly paced, and it's spread out to many more hours than it should be. And whereas like Zwei, I haven't played Argus Adventure yet, but I am playing Ilvard Insurrection, and the story in that game is not great, but like it's not doing what this game is doing. It's not padding it out with things that you don't want to know, or things that you really don't need to know or care about, and trying to play it off seriously. I've just remembered the point that I was coming back to. From what I understand, from playing this PlayStation 4 re-release, I think that the content that they have added actually actively hurts it. Because it's added all these, like, in between each chapter is this side chapter that you can't skip, that you have to play through, that's supposed to shed more light on what was going on, couldn't include. And none of these add anything at all. It's like two characters go shopping, and then they get drawn into a dungeon, and then they run and beat the dungeon and like fight a souped up boss at the end.
Oh,
yeah. And then you can go back to the narrative, and it's like, wow, this just, I could have done without all of this. And I could see, like, I still wouldn't have liked the Vita game, but I mean, without that additional like 10 to 20 hours of just nothing on top of what was already a nothing plot, it's like, why?
Yeah, it is already padded enough in the original version, and then the EX Plus version appears to just add more, so that's a shame.
So if you were wondering why it wasn't in our Game of the Year voting, folks, I mean, send all your hate mail to me.
It's flat and uninspired.
I will stand a little bit for the soundtrack, which I think is ranges between adequate and excellent, depending on what part you're listening to. And I think
it's pretty good.
When
There's
it
some
first
tracks
came,
that I really like.
Yeah, when it first came out in 2015, I think I gave it some shine in the Music of the Year feature for that year. But and the soundtrack maybe made me undeservedly hyped for the game. So I was really hotly anticipating it when it came out last year. But it was so disappointing.
To give it a go.
Yeah, I was. It was such a bummer. Just everything was so rote and wasted so much time, and it felt like it felt like a C+ version of a bunch of ideas spread through a Trails of Cold Steel or a Persona game. I can't recommend it.
It's exactly what I was afraid that Cold Steel would be. I think we talked about this back like 2 years ago now, when we did that retro encounter catch up on Trails in the Sky second chapter, and I was anxious about the release of Cold Steel, because I was like, oh, are they really just going to copy Persona? It's not going to be good if they do. And my fears were unfounded there, but it's like, this is a game that's completely made up of all of my fears of what Cold Steel was, what I thought it could have been. So,
yeah.
It is what it is.
And what it is not very good. Save
Oh.
your money, save your time. Play
Please.
Steel. Play Trails if you want to play a Falcom game that's
Or
good.
Xanadu
That runs
Nets.
that runs in that engine.
Game.
Or literally any East game made in the past 15 years.
Yeah, not the best.
Well, does anybody else have anything to talk about, or are we done?
There were some other things I wanted to hit on, but I think maybe we'll do it next episode because I'd like to talk the new Dissidia, bad, and I would like to talk the remake of Radiant Historia, underwhelming. Which is like uncharacteristically negative for me, I guess, to be like this. But
Yeah,
Dissidia, I'll just flat out say I think is bad. But
That bums me out because I know you like the original Dissidia, and that's
I loved it. Yeah, I loved the PSP pair. Played him a ton. This one just doesn't feel right, man.
I had no idea what we were doing when we tried that at E3.
Yeah, it looked like calculus to me. It was just numbers, and I was like, "What is my brave points? What?"
Even with the renewed interface, it feels like crap, and it's so cumbersome to get into matches, and the netcode is terrible, and the customization system is bad, and
I don't even know why they decided to make it a 3v3 game because I don't think it adds anything to it, and if anything, it makes more sense to have one-on-one fights. And it was, I don't. There's so many questions I have about that game. It just seems confusing and disappointing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a shame. But we can talk about that when Alana's here, since she wrote the review for RPG Fan, so I'm sure she has thoughts on that to give.
All right. All right.
She had a emotional and mental struggle writing that review.
Yeah. So I think maybe we've been a little hard today on a lot of the games we've discussed, but hopefully some of the enthusiasm that we have for Monster Hunter and stuff has made up for it. So
Hey, we got lots of good stuff coming out. I mean, we talked before about
yeah.
Yakuza. Ni no Kuni 2 looks really good. Ni no Kuni 2 looks so good. I almost played Ni no Kuni 1 again, but then I remembered how much I hated it.
and then you remember, yep.
Yeah, like, because am I wrong, Derek? Ni no Kuni 1 was not good, right? I just
Yeah, I think Ni no Kuni 1 is like a 7. I think it has a bad battle system that sort of doesn't work.
yeah.
But
I think
that's
it
what I
is
remember.
one of the best looking games on PS3 that I just
Yes.
don't want to touch.
yes, yes.
Was there an easy mode
What?
on that game? Should I have just played it on easy? Like, I just
I think
remember,
so. I think that wouldn't fix the combat system not being fun.
but it would at
Like-
least make it so like it wasn't so balls hard where you just ended up like murdered at the start of a fight because your guys were like, "I'm not going to heal you," and then you die.
Just give me like a whole like Animal Crossing style game of running around Ding Dong Dell.
Yes.
Ooh, like Professor Layton's London Life, but set in the world of Ni no Kuni.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And I had to wait.
And
like an
and
extra-
narrated by what's his name? The delightful mascot character in that game.
Oh, Drippy?
Drippy,
yeah.
yeah. Just have him like commenting on everything and just
Everyone's
do
favorite Welshman. Yep.
I have never heard a more charming way of saying that somebody's pooped their pants than Drippy's I'm bricking it.
oh my god! I had to wait like the extra month for that game to come out because the special editions were all screwed up, and then I got it,
Yeah.
and like 5 or 10 hours in, I was just like, I hate it, and I hate myself for hating it. Like, god damn it! Is the new game in the same world as Ni no Kuni 1? Is
It
there
is,
any-
but in the future.
Oh, okay. So they're gonna like find the Zohar and figure out that Fei Fong Wong was like frozen in time or something. Oh my god! Like they were doing a bunch of retrospectives for Xenogears because it's like the 20th anniversary, which made me want to cry. But it's like the 20th anniversary of Xenogears, and I was just like, man, I would love for them to remake that game. Just
Hey, we're getting the 20th anniversary arrangement album coming in April, I think, maybe May.
if they would do it, as long as they would, I don't know, fix the second disc, that would be really cool.
It's not going to happen.
Leave it
I know.
alone. Leave it alone.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, it's such a weird game, but it's so amazing. It's
I love it. Yeah.
Just listen to the new music when it comes out and placate yourself with the memories that you already have of the original game.
yeah. I have to remember not to buy that on the Vita because then I'll be in that damn
No,
sewer
do
dungeon
it.
again. And I'll just like flip out again.
I'm swapping between it and Chrono Cross in bed, and I'm having the best time.
You know what I'm playing on my Vita right now is Grandia, the first one.
Really? I thought about
Yeah.
picking that up, but I've
Yeah.
I've got the discs.
It's still
It'd be
real
nice to have
cute.
it on Vita.
Should I when Ys 8 comes out on Switch, Derek? Should I do it? I feel like I want to do it.
Yeah, give it a try.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the one East game that I played for a little bit, and I could see that being a fun game to play on the Switch because playing everything on the Switch is amazing. But like,
Yeah, I think you'll
That
have
game
an
is too
okay time with
long and the story is bad, but I can spend like hours and hours just running around killing things in it. It's so
Yep.
fun, so much fun.
it does look really fun, and then we're all keeping our fingers crossed that Valkyria Chronicles 4 is amazing because everything they've shown for it so far, I'm like, was Valkyria Revolution just like a goof? Were they just screwing
Yeah.
with us? Were they just screwing with us?
I almost think that game was some other new IP, but then they decided it wasn't worth, wasting a lot of money on it, and they slapped the Valkyria name on it for maybe some extra sales, is my completely unfounded theory.
That
Because
has to be
it doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense for that game to exist the way it does.
Poor Media Vision though. If only Sony would let them make another Wild Arms, that'd be really nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would like that.
Damn it, I can't whistle. Shit.
Oh.
There it is. Whenever we have Solosi on, we manage to do this. I would like. Fenner, I wanted to. I said on your Facebook, but I wanted to say, awesome job having Sheeran the Wanderer, the little figurine. I have it above my desk right now, and I would really like a Sheeran the Wanderer for Switch.
Mine is watching us podcast at the moment. But
Mine's
yeah,
watching.
I have my wonderful girlfriend Justina to thank for getting that for me for Christmas.
It is a really, God, I really, really liked that Vita game, and then I tried to play the DS
So
game,
good.
and it's not good.
That Vita, the DS one is that first game is so tough.
Yeah, it curb stomps you in a way that the Vita
Yeah.
game's like very nice. So
Yeah, it's surprising.
we're getting off track, but that's because I love you guys and I never want to say goodbye.
Oh, likewise.
I can't
Yeah.
say goodbye to yesterday, my old friend.
Oh, wow.
I
A real
keep
song?
holding on till the end.
Are we finished talking about video games today?
Yeah, I think we're done talking about video games.
I kind of want to go and just do a big karaoke event with all you guys at like one of the Korean bars in town.
Oh God, that could be dangerous. Maybe next year at MagFest. Maybe
Sure.
next year. Yeah. So thank you everybody for listening to the podcast. Solosi, you gave us a Twitter, right? Does the podcast have a Twitter?
Not yet. I want to give the podcast a Twitter, but I'm not sure how valuable it is necessarily to do that and promote it. But we can make it happen if we think it'll be worth it.
If
But
there's demand for it, perhaps we will do it, and people can yell at me all day that I do not like the games that they like. That's understandable. So yeah, thank you everybody for listening to the podcast. For Derek, Solosi, and Fen, we will see you all later.
Bye. Don't play Tokyo's Interview.
Oof, God.
play Monster Hunter World instead.
Yeah, play Monster Hunter World.
Oof, man, shots fired.